3 connections that I've made this week. 1, that all mattress shops are money laundering fronts. 2, the unholy but surprisingly active state of my father's dating life. And 3, arpeggios, major arpeggios, and the minor pentatonic scale. So today we're going to talk about maybe kind of doing some things that you can use to solo and honing in on parts of stuff that we've already learned, all right? And basically, the 2 things that you need to know is this 1 arpeggio. We're going to start on a G. Looks like this. And then the E minor pentatonic position, pentatonic scale. Okay, so we're going to connect these 2, and it's really great because they lead right into each other. So we're going to go through the exercise first, then we're going to talk about some musical ways that you can kind of use this in your playing. And the main thing to remember is that in any major scale, so we're in the key of G major right now, the 6th note is the relative minor, and that's a huge important thing that I try to harp on a lot. So if G is 1, G, A, B, C, D, E is 6, okay? So G major, E minor. That's the connection that we're making right here, all right? So this is really super popular arpeggio, maybe the most popular arpeggio. We talk about it a lot. 3rd fret on the E string, all of this is movable. We're just starting it on this G note. It goes 3, 5, 7 on the low E string, 5 on the A string. This shape right here, okay? Start a note, whole step, down a string, back 2 frets. Repeat the exact same thing. Offset with the B string, so we do the same thing on the 8th fret of the B string. And then we end on the 15th fret of the high E string. This is just 3 different G chords in arpeggio form. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take 3 notes of these and kind of really hone in on them. So I want to make them these 3 notes right here, okay? So we can climb the whole thing up. Now, if you try playing this just in a row, it's always going to sound like an exercise. But the cool thing that you can do is maybe take these 3 notes from that arpeggio, 10 and 12 on B, and then 10 on the high E string, okay? So this is an A, a B, and a D. Now, if you just kind of focus in on these 3 notes, and then just get really good, you can do like hammer-ons. You can kind of get some cool sounds out of it. But we're gonna skip most of this arpeggio and just take it right from a G. Okay, so we're taking what we're thinking of as an arpeggio, taking just a small part of this to kind of increase our fretboard awareness. And this interval, this spacing between these 2 things is always going to be the same. If you want to do something in A, you do the same thing, all right? Doesn't have to be this spot. This is just one example. Get creative. Find any piece of this that you want to use. If you want to take maybe the 2nd octave of this arpeggio. Okay, we have 4 notes here. Instead of playing them one at a time, we can combine them by maybe adding all of them to the G strings note. So now I'm kind of double stopping by combining these 3 notes on the D string, 5, 7, and 9, with the 7th fret on the G string. Okay, a lot of different ways, an infinite amount of ways you can use this, right? So we're using an arpeggio mindset to think about that. And now we're going to connect that with some scale work. Not everybody, most people learn that minor pentatonic position first. Maybe you did it in open position. Open 3, open 2, open 2, open 2, open 3, open 3. Same thing applies to the 12th fret down here. Again, it's just kind of like a light version of the minor scale, but it's cool because you can learn like tons of like cool blues licks and add them to your lick vocabulary. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine that with this G major arpeggio. So 2 schools of thought kind of combining into maybe one fluid musical idea. So the way we're going to do this as an exercise is we're going to start on this G. We're going to take it all the way up through the arpeggio. Even if this kind of sound is nothing what you want your playing to sound like, it's good because it's just increasing your awareness of how to find these chord tones all throughout the neck and to create different touchstones of maybe where you want to be. We're going to end on the G on the high E string, which is the 3rd fret past the octave bar, just like it's the 3rd fret here, right? And then once we make it here with our pinky, we're going to go backwards through the E minor pentatonic scale, okay? So it's like a circular exercise that you can start here. And you can even hear that these are two different ideas, two different thoughts that kind of sound different. This is a very, I don't know if you want to call this like a classical style, just, chord approach of going through something, and then a very bluesy thing. But you'll find that you might be able to find your own voice as a player by starting to incorporate different ways of thinking. And then eventually you can maybe start combining a couple things. So let's take that thing that we did on the D and the G string, these double stops, along with these 3 notes from the bottom of that arpeggio, and then into some E minor blues licks. All right, so again, we start with the G chord. This stuff can be used in any key. I think it's always just a good idea to really connect the one chord, the root chord of whatever key you're in, with its relative minor, because there's something about this pentatonic shape that is just so easy to go to, because you start with your pointer finger each time, great for hammering on. And every blues rock song you've ever heard in uses it in some way or another. Again, I'm calling it the E minor pentatonic shape just because we start on an E. But when we're playing it, by hitting that G chord first, we're really kind of playing the G major pentatonic scale. Again, don't even think so much about what it's called. It just sounds good. Don't worry about it, all right? So really, start trying to maybe find, it doesn't have to be this arpeggio, just kind of start learning different arpeggios, find out what notes that you like within that. They're all going to be, for the most part, major or minor chords or some extension of them, or rooted in some kind of major or minorness. Find what you like, find pieces of them that you want to connect, and then set those up as touchstones on the guitar neck that you can always go to. Like if I'm ever playing in the key of G, regardless of what kind of genre, I can always think, all right, this could be my home base as far as like minor pentatonic. I'll always have something I can do, whether it's as generic bluesy as I want it to get, or however creative you want to make it. But I think it really starts with learning the fundamentals of arpeggio work, scale work, and chord work, and the combination of those 3 things that will make you masterfully aware of the guitar fretboard. So if you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.